Holy Batman Spec, Russ.
Wow, Tom. I was excited to talk about Obi Wan this week, but we have Batman bookends on this list. You guys are going to want to stick around to the very end.
That's right. Hit the like, slap the subscribe. It'll enter you to win this Omni-Man Tyler Kirkham Whatnot exclusive by commenting and at the list at number 10. We have Venom's first appearance, but on a DC book. Yeah, it's not the Venom you're thinking about, comic fam. At the list at number 10, Legends of the Dark Knight, issue number 16.
$5 average sales on this 1991 book. I love Denny O'Neil. All the stuff that he worked on for Batman is amazing. This is the first appearance of Venom, the drug that Bane uses to get all big and burly. Now, light spoiler warning, guys.
Spoilers indeed, but a 900% increase in copies sold put this book on our list for a reason. There is a moment towards the end of the film when Bruce Wayne is on the ground. He's about to fail, but he's not just the world's best detective. He's also one of the world's best fighters. He's never going to give up, and he always has something up his sleeve. And in this case, it's a shot of adrenaline, but it's green. So is that shot a vial that just gets him out of the situation? Or is that a shot of Venom and a nod to the comics and possibly foreshadowing the future where we may see the villainous Bane?
Now, since the release of the movie, a lot of people have been talking about this, but we want to thank Topher, Comic Book True First over on Instagram for bringing it to our attention.
This is the issues that introduced the drug in the comic book that would later begin the Nightfall narrative where Bane would break Batman's back. But Bruce Wayne is the person who dabbles with Venom first, and kind of similar to the final chapter, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 33, where Spider-Man is in peril and he has to lift something up over the course of multiple pages to come out triumphant. Batman has to do something similar to try to save a girl who's tied to a chair, and as he's trying to lift the boulder, he fails. He gets close to saving her, but she actually dies, and he has to carry this burden. It's almost too much to bear. Then he starts to work out to try to build his strength, and he pulls a muscle and hurts his shoulder. So because he is unable to be the Batman he wants to be, he then looks to the drug to give him that edge. I don't see this being a similar narrative that's going to be adapted, but I've always enjoyed this comic for those reasons.
Do you have an unsightly rash? You may be suffering from Jedi. You're going to have to use a cream to remove that itch.
The Jedi code is like an itch. He cannot help it.
That's right, the Jedi itch is real. At the list at number 9, we have Star Wars Darth Vader number 6, the Obi Wan Kenobi trailer dropped, and a book that we've been talking about since June of last year is now come full circle.
Star Wars Darth Vader number 6, $100 average sales, $600 for a recent 9.8, but we had a $650 even last month.
We have the first appearance of the Grand Inquisitor. We have the first appearance of the team, the Inquisitorius, who he runs, and managed by Darth Vader. And the Obi Wan Kenobi trailer dropped this past week, featuring him with his dual lightsabers. And we know Hayden Christensen's going to be reprising his role, which is what started this spec to begin with.
Now, 163% increase in copies sold may not sound like a lot, but keep in mind that this has been on Spec radar for over 6 months. It was already an expensive book, and this trailer came out just a couple days ago. I have a very strong feeling we are going to see this book again at a much higher price.
I want to know the community's thoughts about the first shot that we see of the Grand Inquisitor. We have Boss Logic doing his rendition of the character, giving it that extra spice that I was hoping we'd see, but I'm excited to see him fight nonetheless.
This is a prime example of why you have to have your key alerts on. This book has been on Spec radar since June of 2021.
That's right, Russ. The members could have gotten ahead on this one. Trust the Key Collector app, the best comic app in existence. Use code TOM101. Unlock a free 2-week subscription. Get access to key alerts just like this one to keep you ahead of the curve. Catalog your comics, get suggested pricing. It'll help you on the hunt and so much more. At the list at number 8, more Batman Spec to talk about in Batman 609.
$25 average sales, $250 for a CGC 9.8. This is the first appearance of Thomas Elliot, who's later revealed to be Hush. I love this book, and I love this Jim Lee cover.
First appearance of Thomas Elliot, the friend of Bruce Wayne since childhood, who kills his parents but becomes a doctor, but then goes full villain and tries to take out Batman. In this superb Jim Lee run that was cited alongside of Long Halloween as one of the main inspirations for the Batman movie. And speaking of which, the marketing they did for the Matt Reeves Batman film was spectacular. In particular, what they chose to do with the Riddler.
Matt Reeves was telling us how much of a detective movie Batman was going to be, and I was very excited to find out that there was a hidden website. Throughout the movie, they talk about Rata Alada. There is actually a website, rataalada.com, and there was a hidden cipher that if you went through, you could actually see Thomas Wayne's mayoral campaign video, and at the very end, it says, "Hush."
That's right. You had to unlock it by solving riddles, which was pretty fun. I tried it myself and was very shocked to see that they actually embedded things into the website that if you were trying to seek answers elsewhere, like you got the riddle and then go to Google or something, the website shuts down and makes it so you can't solve the riddle and they make you restart. Pretty creative. And indeed, we see Hush written on the video, courtesy of the Riddler, pointing Spec in this direction, Rata Alada, meaning rat with wings, the bat.
Number 7 on the list, Avengers, the Children's Crusade, number 1. $20 average sales and a 257% increase in copies sold. We couldn't even find a high sale because this book hit the list so quickly this week.
Children's indeed. This is the Young Avengers run where we have Wiccan and Speed, the children of Wanda, searching for their mother post her absence from the House of M narrative. And considering that we expect to see Wanda in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, dabbling with the Darkhold, using that chaos magic, searching for her children, could we see a narrative take place post this movie if she is successful?
So we heard rumors this week that Key Collector found out that there is an unannounced MCU project that could very well borrow heavily from this story, but tread lightly with the Spec, because if they wrap up Wanda's storyline in Multiverse of Madness, all of this could be moot.
I was just chatting with David from Comic Book Investments during our cold list video about Young Avengers 10, which is the return of Tommy Shepard to the pages of comic books as a young man. He becomes Speed in issue number 12, by the way. Keep an eye out on that book too. I think these are both great Spec books to get on the low because the Spec is still strong, but we will find out soon if they're gonna pay off. And there are more variants to discuss as it pertains to Avengers, the Children's Crusade, issue number 1.
Now, we want to take the time to point out 2 variants that we particularly enjoy. There's a 1 in 100 Jim Chung that is a partial sketch variant, and there's also a great Jelena Kevik-Jurdovic variant, which we like as well. But go check out the Key Collector app and see all of the amazing variants for this book.
And now at the list at number 6, we have Star Wars The High Republic Adventures issue number 2, seeing $20 average sales, $300 highs for a CGC 9.8, and an increase of copies sold of 625%, because as the High Republic Phase 1 era ends, we now see the big villains that came out of it, not just from the books, but also from the comics. And this is a key appearance. We have the first appearance of Marchion Ro.
Now, issue 15 of High Republic brought about the end of this phase of the story, and we're seeing a renewed interest in the first few books because of appearances that people think may be doing something in the future. Keep an eye out for the 1 in 10 Yale Nathan variant, which features buckets of blood on the cover.
Being featured on the cover for the first time, this was one of Jim Comics' picks for great Spec books. And this Canadian YouTuber is one of our favorite Spec channels in the industry. Make sure to follow him. He just put out a video where he covers all of the Phase 1 Spec books that he thinks you should consider. And I also have some other news to talk about.
Comic fam, if you were watching us last week, you know that Avengers Forever was on the list, and we saw Infinity Thing, we saw Mariama Spectre, the new Moon Knight. We were telling you, you gotta be reading this book, and I think we heard something else this week.
That's right. I got a source, comic fam. So I'm gonna keep the spoilers to a minimum, but you should seriously consider Avengers Forever issue number 4, because I'm hearing that there is a debut of a new character on the inside. Now, sometimes editorial makes changes, but when I have a source that's this good, I gotta bring it to the mic to get you ahead and make sure that you're adding this run to your pull list, not just for the new appearance, but to read the damn book because it's so good. At the list at number 5, we gotta talk about more Batman. Batman 28 from the New 52.
$18 average sales, $125 for CGC 9.8. This is the first appearance of Harper Row as Bluebird.
We've been waiting to hear any news about Gotham Knights, the new CW show that focuses on a narrative post the murder of Bruce Wayne, the death of Batman, the framing of the Bat children in the family, but also rather than focusing on Batman's villains, his rogues gallery, it's going to incorporate their children.
So we finally have confirmation that Fallon Smythe will be playing Harper Row, and we have Tyler DeChiara to be able to play her brother.
An increase of copies sold of 1,275% for this comic book. Harper Row's a very cool character, technically one of the first new Bat family characters post the restarting of the universe back in 2011, DC's New 52.
Now, Harper is an expert. She creates her own tech. She's actually responsible for getting Bruce Wayne back into the swing of things after the death in the family storyline.
Number 4 on the list, Dark Horse Comics. We have a 3-issue series that a lot of people didn't read, but you're going to want to keep an eye out for it in those dollar bins. We have War Bears seeing $10 average sales after a studio in Canada picked it up.
Now, while you may not have heard of War Bears, you definitely know the author. Margaret Atwood wrote The Handmaid's Tale, and while all of you have been dressing up for Halloween in your red gowns, understand that she has been writing for Canada for over 50 years, and this comic book is actually based on a piece of prose that she wrote for the 150th anniversary of Canada.
During World War II, American comics weren't available in Canada, so they had to kind of create their own industry. And this pays tribute to that history during World War II, where an artist is creating a comic in the comic. It's kind of meta, where it focuses on a Nazi fighty super heroine called Arsenette.
1,600% increase in copies sold because we have news this week that WoW Unlimited, a Canadian company, has optioned this to make an animated series. Now, don't dismiss it so quickly because you know some of the other intellectual properties they've worked with, being Puppycat, the Castlevania for Netflix, they have a very good track record.
They also handle the animation services for Barbie, Madagascar, Ratchet and Clank, Bob the Builder. So a lot of people have high hopes for this actually becoming a reality. And it's a very cool book to see make the list.
It is exciting to see a book like this make the list, Tom, and it's gonna be in dollar bins everywhere, so keep your eyes peeled, folks.
Another book that used to be a dollar bin book, but it's creeped up in recent years. We have West Coast Avengers 46, $15 average sales of CGC 9.8, hitting 365. First appearance of the team, the Great Lake Avengers, but the reason why it's on our list this week, the first appearance of Mr. Immortal.
1,400% increase in copies sold. And we talked about this book probably 5 or 6 years ago when Great Lake Avengers got a miniseries from Marvel, and then talked about it about 3 years ago when Immortal Hulk introduced Mr. Immortal. Well, we now have rumors that Mr. Immortal may be showing up in the new She-Hulk show.
This giant size increase in copies sold took place after an audition tape, audio only, circled the internet and then was scrubbed. That's right. It sounds like Marvel put a stop to it, which gives it a little bit more credence. And what was on that audition tape? Well, I couldn't hear it because I couldn't find it. However, what members of the community have reported is that it features 2 different lawyers having like a deposition conversation with the client. And the client's name was codenamed Dr. Revive. He's trying to get out of some relationship problems by sacrificing himself so he can come back anew.
So it is a very short hop from Dr. Revive to Mr. Immortal, and we may see him in the show, we may not. He may have a large part, he may not. We're not quite certain, but I can tell you that because he can't die, and this show is supposed to be a little bit of a comedy, we could probably use that to some very good laughs.
If you like what we do, give us an excuse to send you some funny books, comic books, every single month. You got under a week left to join the March Mystery Mail Call, and this is a month not to miss. We're sending out trade dress and virgins at random of Silver Surfer Rebirth, cover art done by God of War art director Raph Grissetti. And with the power of Whatnot, we were able to make virgins available. So this is a dual exclusive with the app. We also have, going in 1 per box, a mail call exclusive of Stray Dogs Dog Days, issue number 2, the Descent homage, cover art done by Stray Dogs creators Trish Forstner and Tony Fleece. Hit the link in the description. Support the show, join the community, and at the list at number 2, Spectacular Spider-Man issue number 116.
$25 average sales, $135 for a CGC 9.8. We also saw a $300 recent sale for a newsstand 9.8. I love the Sabretooth on this cover, but that's not the reason why we're talking about it today. It's because it's the first appearance of the Foreigner.
This is the mercenary. He's good with a bow and arrow, and he also teams up with Kraven. He is the ex-husband of Silver Sable, and we just had him cast this past week in the Kraven movie, seeing an increase of copies sold of 275%. And this right here now points us to believe that Silver Sable may be on this roster. And who is Silver Sable's father? The first Silver Sable, another military marksman who took on the codename Silver Sable when he went up against the Nazis. And we've been wondering, who is Russell Crowe going to be in this movie? His character was unannounced. Could it be Silver Sable's father? We're making some Spec connections here. We could be wrong, but I got to know what the comic fam thinks.
So what we do know is Christopher Abbott is slated to play Foreigner in the Kraven movie. But keep an eye out for Amazing Spider-Man number 265, which is the first appearance of Silver Sable.
And now we have the #1 trending book in the cosmos, Russ. A repeat offender, a book that has blown up post the Batman movie. The success of it, which has then led Spec and producers to hit the mic to say what villains they would like to see in the future, what narratives they want to see play out on the screen. And we have Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, Batman, issue #2 from the New 52 to talk about again.
$20 average sales, $350 for a CGC 9.8. This is up $100 for the 9.8 sales since last week.
An increase of copies sold of 252% this week after a hike that happened last week of 286%. We have a Jim Lee variant cover we told you about. We also mentioned the 1 in 200 black and white sketch cover by Greg Capullo. There was no 9.8 sale when this book spiked last week, but this week one did sell, and it sold for $500.
Now, this is the first appearance of Talon, William Cobb, who is the great-grandfather of Dick Grayson, but he also happens to be an assassin for the Court of Owls. If you are a fan of this Court of Owls storyline and want to keep following more, you should be paying attention to the Key Collector Trending 20 list. All of these books were sourced from that list, and over there, Batman #6, the first full appearance of Court of Owls, also makes an appearance this week.
Batman issue 2 had the most sales of any single comic book on this list this week. It's a repeat offender, and clearly members are hungry for more history and world building as it pertains to Gotham and the new Matt Reeves Batman mythos. We appreciate your time today, and as always,
Geek responsibly.
enough said. Join us, two comic dudes, over on Whatnot, the best app to buy and sell collectibles. Every single Wednesday, we hit the mic. Dollar start auctions that last as little as 15 seconds long. We have vetted sellers. We have sellers that are some of the biggest dealers in the industry, doing sales, grading books, giveaways, and so much more. Link in the description to follow us and enjoy these 2 other videos. We made them for you, comic fam. Have a great week.